Hi, Luke from Korg here at the GAK Studios, and today we're looking at the Wavestate. This is a brand new product we're launching for Namm 2020 and I'm very excited about it. I love this instrument. So what is it? Well, it's actually a reimagining of our original Wavestation technology from way back in 1990. So it uses wave sequencing, piecing together tiny little samples in a sequence, playing them sequentially, at different timings, different pitches, and we also have 4 layers, so we can layer up to 4 of these wave sequences, or we can actually use multi-sampled sounds as well to get a mixture of those 2 different types of synthesis. We've kept the vector joystick from the original Wavestation, but as you can see, the styling of it and the footprint and everything else is very different, and I'll go into the differences as we go. So first of all, let's just have a little bit of a listen to give you a vibe of what this kind of thing sounds like. So there you go, incredibly complex pattern there, lots going on. Let's just pick something a little bit more simple so then I can explain to you about this wave sequencing and how it works. So I'm using my set list here. I've got my set list of 16 different sounds and 4 banks, so I can easily just select my favourites here. So let's go to this one, for example. Now if I play this, you can hear that that sound's made up of like a pad underneath and then that nice moving pattern over the top. And what I can do is I can actually watch what's going on with that on these buttons here by pressing wave sequence steps and then pitch, because what we've done with this new Wavestate is we've extrapolated all of those different lanes from the original Wavestation and given them their own space, and also you can then program how long these different lanes are, have different directions, so you can get even more complex patterns going and more evolving sounds than the original Wavestation. So now I've put that onto pitch, I should be able to now watch what's going on. So as you can see, that pattern is 9 steps long and it's going back on itself. So if I want to change one of the steps, I just touch it and then I can tune each step individually. So now I've got like a minor feel because I've changed the 3rd in that pattern. I can even change, if I want to, the sound itself that is used for that pattern. So if I press sample now and then go here, I can change it to different sounds. And as you heard from that original pattern, those wave sequences can either be a static sample like that, or each step can be a different sample. Here's another example of how we've changed the Wavestate from the original Wavestation. We've added these modulation knobs, there's 8 of them, and by default they do things like the timing, changing the samples, the gate time and so on, but they're actually completely programmable. So for this one, for example, I can take a wave sequence like this, and I can start changing it on the fly. So you can get some kind of motion going and live performance aspect to it beyond what's already happening. Or you can use the Wavestate like a lot of the people who used the original Wavestation loved using it, and that's for slow evolving movements. So for instance, this one here, and we're going to press sample here so we can see what's going on. We can see a pad sound with a sample changing underneath very slowly. So you can hear those different samples coming in and out. And because it's layered with a regular pad, that kind of smooths out those changes really nicely. Other ways to manipulate the sounds live are obviously the pitch bend, mod wheel, and also the vector joystick, which was on the original Wavestation. So, and of course the modulation knobs. So you can really start to take the sound in a completely different direction very quickly. Of course, the vector joystick, as I just mentioned, let's show you that. So you can take a sound and then in its most basic form, it's basically like a mixer between the 4 layers, A, B, C and D. You can just push the joystick in those directions, or of course if it's in the middle, then it will mix all of them. And you get this fantastic representation on the screen as well of the vector joystick when you're using it. It's a great interface as well because you can kind of feel your way through the sound and then just leave it when you find in that sweet spot when you find it, which I really love about it. So here, for example, we can listen to all the different elements. That sound is made up from. Also, when you're making your sounds, you've got this really cool feature here. It's just basically a picture of a dice on the panel there, but it's basically randomized. So you can touch that at any time, and it'll randomize all your parameters, and you can also fix the parameters to a certain amount, so you don't get something too radical, but something usable. So that's a really neat feature as well. What's really nice is the fact you can combine the 2 types of synthesis, so you can have nice multi-sampled instruments, whatever that might be, layered with a wave sequence. So you could have a sound like this. And then you can bring in the 4th layer, which wasn't turned on, which is a wave sequence. So you can hear from just a little bit of action there on the vector joystick how drastically I can change the sound. And that's one of the things I love about the Wavestate, is that you can take a more of a regular sound and then quickly morph it into something new. It's just fantastic for making beds and soundtracks. Of course, we can zone the keyboard as well, so we can have a split of these 4 layers anywhere we want, so they can all overlap, or they can have a hard split like this one. So I can have a pattern down the bottom, And then a pad at the top. And as you can hear, when I'm changing sound here, I've got smooth sound transition as well, so I don't have to worry about long reverbs or delays cutting off when I change my sound. There's some great regular sounds in here as well. I found this really amazing brass sound. And when you're playing your sounds on the Wavestate, just hold and linger longer than you normally would, because you never know what's going to emerge out of the darkness. Great choir sounds as well. Love this one. You've also got an arpeggiator in here as well. I haven't mentioned that yet. So you can add even more motion to these wave sequences. So I can trigger a pattern here from the arpeggiator. You can see it's turned on here. I can also latch it. I can change things like the resolution, the octaves, the gate time, and so on. So you can just use it like a regular arpeggiator as well. If you just have a normal sound rather than a wave sequence, you've got that facility in there to do that as well. You can also use the wave sequencing knobs in different ways. So for instance on this one's been programmed just to literally use the sample knob there to cycle through different bass sounds. And of course we've got our regular synth architecture per layer here as well. So we've got different types of filters, envelopes, amazing effects and LFOs as well to add to the sound. So for instance the filters here, we've got models of some of our classics including the MS-20, Poly 6, as well as the Wavestate's own filters in here as well. So you can really start to shape that sound with the filter as well. So that is the Wavestate. Very pleased to announce this to you today. It's a synth that's really inspired me, and that's the thing that I think is the takeaway from this instrument. It's just a very inspiring and musical instrument. So hope you enjoyed that. If you need to see any more details about it, check out the GAK website, and I'll see you soon.